Imagine you're looking at a history book of World War II. You see all the dates, 1939, Poland, the phony war. You see the tanks, the U-boats, all of it.
All the standard stuff.
Right. But now imagine peeling that page back. And underneath the geopolitical map, there's a second map, a map of ley lines and lost cities and weird science.
It's the history you recognize, but the engine driving it is something else entirely.
Today, we are doing a deep dive into Shadows of Atlantis, which is a massive campaign for the Achtung Cthulhu role-playing game. And look, before you roll your eyes and think, okay, Indiana Jones fighting Nazis, just pause for a second.
It's way more than that.
It really is. This isn't just an adventure story. It's a really complex narrative about technology, memory, and how different factions try to weaponize the past.
Exactly. We're looking at a race against time that spans from, the cafes of Vienna to literally the end of the world in Greenland.
And the central question is fascinating. What if all the myths we grew up with, Atlantis, Hyperborea, the gods, what if they were just misunderstood user manuals for some kind of advanced engineering?
And what if the bad guys figured out how to read that manual first?
Yeah. So our mission today is to track this campaign's arc, figure out what this Palladian machine actually does, and really get inside the heads of the Nachtwölfe.
The specific Nazi faction running the show here.
And that distinction is vital, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. If you don't understand Nachtwölfe, you just don't understand this story.
So let's start right there, because in Achtung Cthulhu, you usually hear about the Black Sun, the guys in the robes chanting, summoning tentacled monsters. But Nachtwölfe they're different. They don't really get along, do they?
Oh, they despise each other. It's a turf war right inside the Third Reich. The Black Sun is all about sorcery, occult rituals, this religious mania. They want to summon dark gods.
Okay.
Nachtwölfe, which translates to night wolves, they look at all that and basically say, this is superstitious nonsense.
So they're the skeptics in the room.
In a way. They're the faction of weird science. They believe in technology, logic, biological enhancement. For them, Atlantis wasn't some magical kingdom of wizards.
It was what? A lab?
It was a scientifically advanced civilization that collapsed. They don't want to cast spells. They want to reverse engineer the tech.
Which, honestly, that's way scarier. A wizard, you can shoot. But an ideology that sees ancient cosmic horrors as just another battery source.
That feels very modern, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And their primary resource is something called blauer crystal, blue crystal. They mine it, they refine it, and they use it to power their Wunderwaffen, their wonder weapons.
And in this campaign, they're not just tinkering in some lab. They have an actual field unit.
They do. The Wolf's Son, the Wolf's Fang, it's the only fully operational field brigade they have. And they've got the Cerberus group. These are scientists with absolutely zero ethical boundaries.
What do you mean?
They'll augment soldiers, graft machinery onto flesh. I mean, whatever it takes to get the job done.
So the players, the investigators, are up against these rational, technologically enhanced soldiers who believe they're just reclaiming a lost scientific heritage.
And the thing they're all trying to reclaim is the Palladium.
The campaign's MacGuffin.
The central MacGuffin, yeah.
But it's not just a statue, right? Usually in these pulp stories, you find the golden idol, you put it in a museum. This sounds more like a circuit board.
That's a great analogy. The Palladium is a machine. A massive multi-component device that was, in essence, the central processing unit of Atlantis.
And the campaign is a scavenger hunt because it was taken apart.
Exactly. Dismantled and scattered across the globe.
Okay, let's break down the parts because this tells us a lot about what Atlantis was actually like in this setting.
For sure. So first you have the Aten Life Giver. This is the power plant, the core battery.
Makes sense.
Then there's the Clypeus, which acts as a shield generator. And you have the Agnia Weapon of Flame.
Offensive weaponry.
It is what it sounds like, yeah. Offensive protection.
So you've got power, defense, offense. Pretty standard military setup.
Right, but then it gets weird. You have the Cup of Yima, which handles surveillance, visual, and auditory monitoring.
And then the big one, the Mitawi, or Viracocha's mirror.
That's the one. It's a timekeeping device and a portal mechanism. So when you put all these things together, you don't just have a statue to worship. You have a mechanism that can control energy, defense, and potentially space-time itself.
I love how the writers handle the myth aspect of this. They bring up this idea of the kernel of veracity. Can you explain that?
Sure. It's the idea that every myth has a tiny grain of truth. The campaign sources cite Plato's Timaeus and Critias.
The real-world texts?
The actual texts where the Atlantis myth originates.
Yeah.
But in the game, the premise is that the Egyptian myths, the Hindu myths, the Peruvian myths, they're all just fragmented, distorted memories of this one specific machine.
Even down to the materials, they actually have a scientific explanation for orichalcum.
They do. In legend, orichalcum is this red gold, stronger than steel. In Shadows of Atlantis, Cthulhu theorizes it isn't metal at all.
What is it then?
It's solidified amber, ancient tree resin that was treated and processed to conduct this specific blue energy.
So again, they're grounding the fantasy in this sort of pseudo-realism. It's not magic gold, it's polymerized resin.
That is exactly the kind of thing a Cthulhu scientist would obsess over.
Precisely.
So the stage is set. It's 1939. The phony war is happening, that weird period where war was declared, but nobody in the West was really shooting yet.
And the investigators start in Vienna and Rome, the detective phase.
Right. Digging beneath the Eternal City, finding the first clues that the Palladian even exists. But the campaign doesn't stay in Europe for long. It sprawls out immediately.
And the first major stop is Egypt to find the life giver.
Yep. And this is where their weird science bumps up against something unexplainable. Because to get it, they have to go into the dream duat.
Okay, for a listener who isn't a lore expert, what is that?
Think of it like a psychic internet or a metaphysical server room. The Atlanteans didn't just hide the battery in a hole in the ground. They hid it in a construct of the mind.
So you have to physically enter a dream state to get it.
You do. And the security system isn't a password. It's a worm.
A giant worm.
A Pepopophis. The source material connects this to a Lovecraftian entity called Shuddelmanel. In the lore, these massive burrowing worms helped physically destroy Atlantis. But in the dream duat, this guardian is purely psychological.
The description in the notes, it gave me chills. It says the worm has human heads on it.
It's a psychological weapon. As the investigators are fighting this thing in the dreamscape, they realize the faces on the creature are people they know.
Oh, no?
Their enemies, their loved ones, even their own faces.
That is horrifying. It's like the machine is reading you. It knows who you are.
Exactly. It reinforces that Atlantean tech wasn't just nuts and bolts. It interfaced directly with consciousness.
So assuming you survived the therapy bills from that, you get the power source. Next stop, India. The Agnya weapon of flame.
Specifically, the Ellora caves. These are real-world archaeological wonders, just these massive temples carved directly out of a basalt cliff face.
And the tone shifts here, right? Egypt was psychological horror. This feels more like a tactical thriller.
It does. Here, the threat is an alliance. Cthulhu is trying to secure this weapon specifically to jumpstart their nuclear program. The weapon of flame is essentially a directed energy weapon.
Or a fission trigger.
Or a fission trigger. And the investigators have to physically stop them from extracting it. It's a race. If Cthulhu gets this piece, the war ends very, very different.
And very quickly.
Very quickly.
Then we move to Persia for the mirror, the Mitawi. And this is where the weird science really starts to break down because we run into an entity called Daoloth.
Daoloth, the renderer of veils. This is a cosmic entity that manipulates geometry and time. The backstory is that the Atlanteans tried to use this mirror, but it got corrupted by Daoloth.
Corrupted how?
They tried to wash the taint away in a sacred spring, but it just didn't work. So the artifact itself it's radioactive with wrongness.
It distorts time.
Yes. When the investigators arrive, they aren't just fighting soldiers. They're fighting the environment itself. Distances don't make sense. Time loops on itself.
And the science of Cthulhu can't handle that.
It struggles. You can't measure non-Euclidean geometry with a ruler.
It builds this great tension. You have the Nazis who think, we can control this, and reality screaming back, no, you absolutely cannot.
Which leads us inevitably to the grand finale.
Greenland. May or June 1940.
Greenland.
Why Greenland? I mean, besides it being this dramatic, icy wasteland?
Two reasons. First, the scientific one. The aurora borealis. Cthulhu believes the charged particles in the northern lights weaken the barrier between space-time dimensions.
So it's a natural weak spot in reality.
Basically. And second, there's the occult reason. Theosophists and pseudo-historians of the era genuinely believed Greenland might be a remnant of Hyperborea or that it was connected to Atlantis. For them, it's hallowed ground.
I'm waiting for us there is the big bad, Liesl Mar.
The Cthulhu commander. And she is a fantastic villain because she is so competent. She has the pieces, or at least enough of them. She's built a portal generator.
And the tech she's using is a total mashup. The notes mention degaussing technology.
Right, degaussing is real. It's a method used in WWII to reduce a ship's magnetic field so it wouldn't trigger magnetic mines.
Okay.
Moorer has stolen this ally tech, combined it with the blue crystal energy, and is feeding all of it into the Mitawi mirror.
So she's using magnetic stealth tech to hide from reality.
Essentially, yeah. She's trying to slip through the cracks of the universe,
Yeah.
and she's combining it with a spell called Bifrost, named after the Norse Rainbow Bridge.
So, quantum physics, magnetic engineering, and Norse poetry.
It's the ultimate Nachtwolfe cocktail. But here is the twist that just sells her character for me.
What's that?
She wants the investigators to be there. She leaked her own location.
She invited them. Wow.
To open the gate. She needs a massive discharge of life energy, a blood sacrifice. She figures, I have these competent, dangerous people chasing me all over the globe. Why not use them as the battery?
Efficient. Ruthless. I hate her, but I respect the hustle.
It's a classic trap. But the ritual goes off. The portal opens. And this is where the campaign takes a hard left turn. They don't just stop the ritual and go home.
They fall through it.
They fall through it.
They go to Atlantis.
They travel back thousands of years to the Isle of Atlas. But not the shiny postcard version of Atlantis.
No. The notes say they arrive at the end.
The catastrophe is happening right now.
Mm.
The earth is shaking, volcanoes are erupting, the sea is rising. It's just total, absolute chaos.
Talk about a high-stress environment. You aren't exploring a city. You're running through a burning building the size of an entire island.
And amidst all this chaos, they meet the Atlanteans. And this is maybe the most important narrative beat in the whole campaign.
Why is that?
The Atlanteans aren't gods. They're not alien overlords. They're just refugees.
And they don't seem to like their own technology very much.
They describe their home as corrupt and decadent. They view the Palladian, this machine everyone in 1940 is killing each other for, as a malign influence. They're actually in the middle of dismantling it.
Wait. So the reason the pieces are scattered all over the world?
Is because the Atlanteans are packing them up to hide them right now.
It's a causal loop.
It is. The investigators are witnessing the exact moment the scavenger hunt begins.
That melts my brain a little bit. But there's a choice here, isn't there? The players can actually interact with them.
They can.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the real deep dive moment. The source material says the investigators can convince the Atlanteans to change the hiding spots.
Which creates a paradox.
A massive one.
Yeah.
If you tell an Atlantean, hey, don't put the life giver in Egypt, the Nazis will find it in 1939, and they move it to, I don't know, South America.
Then the entire campaign they just played through shouldn't have happened. The notes they found in Vienna would be different. The whole history of the war might change.
It puts this huge moral weight on the players. Do you try to fix the past and risk erasing your own timeline? Or do you let the pieces fall where they must, just to ensure you exist to stop more in the first place?
Wow. Okay, so let's assume they survive the collapse and get back to 1940. What's the fallout? Because we talked about Nachtwolfe being the tech faction. Even if they don't get the fully assembled machine, they learned things, didn't they?
Well, they did. And this is the truly frightening part of the so what. The sources explicitly state that any recovered Atlantean tech is immediately fed into the Nazi research machine.
So give us some examples. What does Atlantean tech in 1940 actually look like?
It looks like the Wolfstorn, a tank the size of a building with a railgun. It looks like the Der Adler, a massive jet-powered aircraft, years ahead of anything the Allies have.
And the nuclear implication.
That's the big one. The knowledge of the weapon of flame drastically accelerates the Nazi nuclear program. It implies that without this interference, the Germans might not have gotten as close as they did.
And we also skimmed over one other player in this game, the Migo.
The fungi from Yugoth.
Yes. The crab-like aliens. The sources mention they're secretly working with Nachtwolfe? Why? That seems like a bad deal for the humans.
It is a terrible deal. The Migo are trading secrets biotech for blue crystal. But the sources are clear. The Migo eventually betray the Nazis. They have their own agenda for the crystals.
But in the short term, it means the enemies aren't just using ancient tech, they're using alien biotech too.
Exactly. It just reframes the whole concept of the secret war. It's not just about winning battles, it's about containment.
It takes that ancient aliens trope, the idea that history is just full of advanced tech we forgot, and it weaponizes it.
It does. It asks the listener to look at World War II and wonder, what if the race for the atomic bomb was just the tip of the iceberg?
What if the real arms race was for a mirror from 10,000 BC?
And Shadows of Atlantis does a great job of suggesting that these myths were just science we lost the context for. To Nachtwolfe, a spell is just a formula they haven't solved yet.
It really makes you look at those history books differently. When we read about these sudden leaps in technology during the war jet engines, rockets, computers,
In this universe, you have to ask yourself, was that a breakthrough or was it a recovery?
and that is the lingering thought I want to leave you with. We always assume the arrow of progress points forward. We invent new things. But what if the most dangerous things in the world are just waiting for us to dig them up again?
And who's out there right now with a shovel and a Geiger counter looking for the on switch?
A comforting thought for your commute. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the shadows.
Stay safe out there.
And if you see a blue crystal, maybe just leave it in the ground. See you next time.